about it in the news.
Now, do you all think that this only started after Obama became president?
No.
Ever since Ronald Reagan got out of office, we've been on this path.
Yeah, that's got out of the picture. That's where it's been going down. Ever since then, that's where it started.
I gotta tell you, I'll read it. I've been reading so much.
It's all Woodrow Wilson's fault.
Oh, I just took a picture of that. I was going to go get it.
I found it at a thrift shop.
Well, in a sense, you're right. The breaking down in the 60s.
Brand new.
That gave him 4 permission.
And Saul Alinsky, Rules for Radicals.
It's a very, it's a big read.
Yeah. Oh, I know, I saw it. Overwhelming?
Yeah, I think it's
How old are you?
13.
She's 13. Okay. So, how much do you listen to the stuff that's going on in your house?
They want to keep the door shut.
Actually, I listen to it a lot.
Okay, so you listen to it a lot. Do you give your opinion to it? Because once you give your opinion in your house, it's going to be easier for you to give your opinion somewhere else.
What you're doing is destroying.
And you need to find a group like with Katie or whatever, or some of the kids that are on this bus, and start an email blog together, so that if you have questions or if you have concerns or even want to express your opinion, you can do it together with the conservative kids. Because out there in the schools, these people are cattle, and they don't know. They're not being taught. They're just getting liberal media, and they're allowing that to influence their lives. And so because they have no time to research it themselves, or no, they don't want to because they believe in that utopia, you are the minority. So you need to find kids that are hearing the same things you're hearing and connect with them. Because it will help you grow stronger in your opinions. It will help you grow your own opinions, and then you can become somebody who leads your generation towards where it needs to go.
You guys say what you got out of it, or why you went on this journey to begin with. So who would like to start? Anybody?
Joe Citizen. Joe Citizen.
Exhausted.
Roger.
But the bus trip itself? Well,
the whole big.
It would be great. I think that Beck would probably like to know that everybody made this trip, and it wasn't easy for these people to make the trip. It was actually pretty grueling as far as just the space, the lack of sleep, and food, and this and that. And all of us are actually over 25, and so it was. We not only went up there and are satisfied that we did, but everybody did it at I think at a degree of personal sacrifice to their comfort. Not just money-wise, but just the time and the comfort, but we're all glad that we did it, certainly. And we're just thrilled that it made such an impact and that so many people came up and went up there just to support it. We did, so apparently a whole hell of a lot of other people. So we just hope that they keep doing the fight over at Fox News Channel, and we hope Glenn Beck never backs down to anyone, continues to do exactly what he's doing.
I'm just glad to see that there were so many people that feel the same way and to know that we're not alone. That there are many of us that feel the same way.
Now, before you took this trip, what did you think it was going to be about? Did it turn out to be about what you thought it was going to be about?
Yes.
Were there any surprises? No?
It was better than what we expected.
Better. Why was it better?
Just to see everyone on the same page, and to see how peaceful everyone was, and how put together, how everybody came together for the same cause.
That is an interesting. It is an interesting question, though, because it was a little differently toned than maybe a lot of people, would expect it or this or that. But considering we had, we'll find out the numbers later, how close to a million it was on what side of that figure. Nonetheless, there were an awful lot of people, and it didn't seem to bother anybody one bit that it took on that religious tone. I mean, everybody went right along with it. I mean, there was no dissension there whatsoever, and obviously it's a thirst that people want. So people would respond with that. And like he says, maybe that is what's needed now. That just a simple change at the election by itself is not going to be enough.
What I got out of it was hope
Sorry,
for my
please speak up.
My grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
It's about your grandchildren, your
I got hope for my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren to come. It's the main thing I got.
And that 1 million people in Washington claimed that God was going to come first to make a difference.
I think for me, the religious aspect touched me, I think, a little bit more than I had anticipated it was going to touch me. It brought up more emotion, and just made it really makes it makes you think a little bit deeper, you know, on the issue. And I think his emphasis on taking the politics out of it was a very good thing.
How did you feel when you got there? Absolutely.
I love enjoying it.
Say that again?
How did you feel when you got there and you saw so many people?
I was thrilled, because I personally thought I'd rather just be there as a body than to see him or whatever, but to be a part of something that was bigger, saying, no, we care and we want to change. I mean, that was really important. And the spiritual message that we are one people and we do have something very, very strong in common, no matter what your religion is. And that element is something, we need things to bring us together, not things to separate us. Not play this political Saul Alinsky game of divide everybody up. You're right. So it was very important. But
I believe in what the purpose was to restore or start the restoration process. And I think, in looking at our founding fathers, they didn't come into this because of political gain. There was nothing to gain. We were in our infancy. So what we, started to do in the last 40 days, and even beyond that, last 6 months, that Glenn had started, it really has put everything into perspective. Regardless of what your religion is, regardless of what your political background is, the core values are what matter the most. And if we lose focus on that, we will lose the country. We have to spread the word, and I think what we're doing right now is exactly that. It's to educate and not just be led by blind faith. It doesn't work that way. So I think it was fantastic. Really very motivational.
If there was one thing that you could say that you thought would have made this a better event, what would that be?
For me, just more space, more speakers. I don't mean people speaking, I mean loudspeakers. I mean, the overflow was overflowed. So there were a lot of people that really couldn't hear, depending where you were. But that wasn't anybody's fault. It was just that the event was so successful, there were so many more people. And hopefully it'll be covered properly.
Speakers in the trees.
I think, now this is maybe too wishful of thought, but I really had wished that Al Sharpton had taken his group and said, you know something, we're going to put the politics aside. We want to join you in your message.
Right.
Because he supposedly is a reverend.
Yeah, but you have his divine. He's not about that.
But why couldn't he step forward on a day? I know. You're right.
Right.
He's not
He's a
gonna
divider, that's why.
Something has to happen for him to come to the fore. Something major has to happen.
Absolutely, and he was on Geraldo last night. Apparently, my wife said,
Was he?
and he continued to spew the same kind of divisive message, saying that Glenn Beck had hijacked Martin Luther King. I mean, and
He promoted Martin Luther King.
I felt
absolutely,
people.
Absolutely.
What better could he do?
He was
than
trying
that?
to live the dream. He was saying, it is here. We're all here living that dream right now.
Al Sharpton has a political agenda which is different than what Glenn Beck is doing. So I think that's the bottom line,
And if he doesn't, he should listen to what happened and join us.
He won't just go find fault in it.
We need to make the message exactly what it is.
She's awesome.
Again, regardless of skin color, whites do not own Abraham Lincoln, and nor do anyone else own Martin Luther King. At the end of the day, they are bigger than any one of us.
Very well.
Their ideas and their principles are what we need to strive for, regardless whether you're Jewish, Christian, black, white, yellow, red. It's irrelevant. We need to look at the true foundation of what these people's character was and emulate it. And that's what's going to get us out of the issues that we have. But if we choose to continue with the same old game, we're going to continue getting
African Americans? Why weren't they there to celebrate what Glenn Beck put on?
I mean, there were definitely, you know, a lot of people of color, but they were the minority because I think of the pressure that's placed on them.
They shouldn't feel that way. We don't.
And if he loses his racial issue, he has nothing else.
Right.
That's all he's all about. He's a person of no substance, of no meaning.
It's a very sad thing, but I think you are right.
No,
and I think if he is not that kind of a person, he should stand up and prove it.
Look at everything that he comes out in defense. Anything that has to do with racial issues. That's the only thing he comes out to defend when it's a black and white issue. Right. He doesn't come out for any humanity or for any human causes or anything else.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why it would have been such a better event if he had just dropped that stuff and said, wait a minute, you know something? Your message is the message of Martin Luther King, and it represents what the meaning of this day should be about, and I will stand by you on that, and then we can go and argue the other points tomorrow.
I mean, Beck was promoting Martin Luther King, and then Sharpton basically saying Beck doesn't have the right to do that because he's white.
Right.
That's essentially is what Sharpton was saying.
Once again, his race issue.
Right.
His race part.
You know, if Martin Luther King was alive, he would have gone next to Glenn Beck and promoted
Absolutely.
the same.
His niece, I mean, I thought she was phenomenal.
Yes.
You know, and what
under peer pressure.
Yeah.
She's been ostracized.
She's gotten a lot of hate.
But she did it anyway because she knew it was the right thing.
But she, at the end of the day, she stood by her values.
Yes, she did.
And that's what
Vera
sets
was
her
with
apart.
us.
And that's what every single one of us need to continue to propagate, is to have people look at themselves. Again, exactly what Glenn said, reflect, and true reflection. And ask yourself, where are we at? What will really help us as a nation, as a culture? You know, and continue to hold out the hope that we can continue to do that. And it's essential. And let's not let that side of it consume us, because that's very easy. And then we'll fall exactly into what they want, for us to be upset, to start the big game. We can't do that. We got to look at them and tell them we love them. And we say we're talking about America. You know, black, white, yellow, red, doesn't matter.
You're right. And from the founding of this country, it didn't matter.
Exactly.
From the founding, from our initial documents, we are all created equal. I mean, there is no doubt. So, this dividing of us is really the crime.
But that's why
is really the racist element to try to divide the races, to divide the religions, to divide us all.
The politics
and that's why I think this event was such a beautiful event, was because it really said we're going to put all that stuff behind. For today, we're going to just leave it, and we're going to get back to what brings us together and focus on that. And that's why at the end I became emotional, and I didn't really expect to be emotional about it, but it really touched me in saying that is the message. And that's the message I think that we all need to take back with us, because people who weren't there or didn't listen to it won't know that.